One big joke. It's a fucked up world. Here we are in. I ain't going nowhere.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Reason Reborn. I am here with my co-host, Cardiac Sibo. How are you doing today, sir?
Feeling magical.
I guess I can't think of any. Oh no, because I can't think of any like black magicians in comic book land offhand, and then the one I could think of, at least in the MCU, you don't want to, do what?
I thought you were gonna say Brother Voodoo.
No, I'm not that familiar with Brother Voodoo, and I don't think I want to. Just by the name, I just already have a feeling from the name. No, I was about to say the only one I could associate with you is from the MCU universe, and that's Mordo, and I don't think you want to be associated with him.
It is a lame name.
What, Mordo? Or Brother Voodoo? Oh.
Brother Voodoo is an interesting name.
Brother Voodoo sounds like it's just dripping with like, racial stereotypes. And as I sit here and fuck myself over by Googling it, yep, I is right. Damn shame.
I mean, I don't know what to say about it. He's black and magic. I don't like this something.
Yeah, but it's just all black magical people have to be voodoo priests. Like, seriously. We don't all use chicken bones in our magic, people. Come on.
I do.
Okay, at least he didn't like debut in Black Panther. I was just making sure of that. Because then, come on, it's too much.
We were gonna have quite the letter to write to Marvel about race issues. Although to be fair, I think he's an older character, so
yeah, he debuted in 1973. So yeah.
I got us completely off topic by bringing it up.
Yeah, I know, bringing up comic book shit. Hey, at least he's not a bad guy, it looks like. He was a part of the Avengers, the new Avengers. The Savage Avengers? The fucking Savage Avengers. He was a part of Heroes for Hire. Interesting. I don't think anybody would want to hire him. He looks like stereotypical scary. Yo, if they put Brother Voodoo in a Marvel, property, like a film property or TV show property, no, don't do it, please, Kevin Feige. Don't. I beg you.
This guy doesn't want black people to succeed.
I don't want those like stereotypical types to succeed. Jesus Christ. You have put Blue Marvel in. God damn it.
This guy only wants certain black people to succeed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of y'all don't deserve it. Anyway. I kid. Jesus. I am not a Tim Scott over here, okay? I'm not that type of person.
Where's the sensitivity training? All right, it's been too long.
I know I need a what's the name of the coach that guy got? Oh my god. I know we're starting off the rails here. Was it a diversity coach or something like that? Okay, what I'm talking about is their TV show, The Bachelor. The guy who started it or the host, he has like something called a diversity coach or something like that now, because he had said some racially like sensitive things, so he hired a black guy to teach him how not to be like racist. I'm not making this up, sir. And it's like the name of it's a certain name that he gave it. Like it's like Diversity Council or something. I don't know.
Totally rational. Makes sense.
So yeah. And they actually did an interview with the like guy who is counseling him, which I found weird. It's like, oh my god, you really getting paid to teach like white people not to how to not be racist, like, or just not be racist. Oh, I don't know. Try that for a stretch. Save you some money.
This guy wants the whole world.
I guess I do. All right. Speaking of racist, white people, the relief bill is now in the Senate after the House pretty much signed it on bipartisan levels. In fact, no Republican. I think one Republican in the House of Representatives, I think it was, voted for it. It might have been none. I'm not sure. I want to say it's none, but I think at least one did vote. Now it's been Senate where they're trying to hold it up. Ron Johnson has been complaining because he tried to read the whole exact bill on the Senate floor, kind of not a filibuster, but trying to filibuster without declaring a filibuster sort of thing. And it got voted down, and he complained because, like, oh, you don't want the people to hear what's in the bill? Come on, dude. You know you were not trying to sit there and read 689 pages. And the funny thing is, his complaint was by, like, Schumer and them questioning that, they delayed it and extended the time of the discussion of the bill. Yeah, right.
So it's okay to delay it by however many hours would have taken to read that, but
yeah, 689 pages. Yeah, but you delayed things by complaining. Okay.
All you're doing is pausing my reading and making me take longer. Now we gotta start over again. I lost my place, guys.
All right. I personally would have been like, I would never have rejected to that, because I would expect some bullshit from at this part from them. So I would have set shit up to make such a symbolic like show of like, I don't give a fuck what you gonna do. We gonna vote on this shit, and you gonna look stupid for doing this. As soon as he started reading, I would have had like all the pages, bring all the Democratic senators, a couple of pillows, some blankets, maybe a hot cup of coffee or some tea, and let them lay out and like take naps while he read it. It's like, go ahead, read it. Keep on. You're gonna extend this session. We're gonna sit here and we're gonna let you read this shit. Cause he ain't want to read that shit. He knows he didn't want to read that shit. Like he was grandstanding. So I would have did even better grandstanding. Again, I would have fucking like, hold up, let me change it to my pajamas because we're gonna be here all night. Go ahead. You reading this shit.
It probably wouldn't be allowed, but I would have brought like lighters and had them like wave them.
And, right, exactly. I would have
music
fucked
or something
with
in the
him so hard. This is why I couldn't be a politician, because I would want to be doing some dumb shit like that. I would want to be like that sarcastic and irritable.
Taking like selfies. I know you can't have technology or whatever on the Senate floor, but like you're just taking selfies with him in the background.
Again,
stupid.
So stupid. You can't have technology. Whatever. You know what? And since I can't have technology, fuck it. I'm bringing candles. I'm bringing a bed stand and I'm putting a candle next to it. We're gonna do this old school. Go ahead. Get my nightcap on, and you're gonna sit here and you're gonna fucking read.
I mean, it's the same audacity as like the impeachment, right? Where they're at first they're like, he's gonna be out anyway, so why bother? He's gonna be voted out. Let the people kick him out. And then after that, they're like, when he tried to move forward with those trials, they'd be like, well, it's too late. He's not the president anymore. What the fuck? Y'all caused us to wait, and now you're saying it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah, they're ridiculous. So one bit of news: the $15 minimum wage has been taken out because I believe it was, God, was it 8 or was it 10? Um, Democrats chose not to, and I had the like list of the fuckers who voted against it.
Just call them Joe Manchin and friends.
I mean, it was just pretty much like, sadly, him saying that isn't a joke because that's pretty much what it was. It was Joe Manchin, the curse to cinema, because she has to tag along for the fuckery. And a bunch of other people, including some people from New Hampshire, which was weird, who decided like, hey, we can't do this. We can't let people like actually make money at a level that will keep up with inflation. So that is gone. There has been an agreement on unemployment benefits. Which was approved by Joe Manchin, which is funny. A lot of people are really, really starting to flip out because a lot of these things that are being done has Joe Manchin tied to them. And I've seen a lot of people talk on the internet talking about, oh, clearly Joe Schumer has no control. This is the party of, Joe Manchin, and Joe Manchin has all the sway and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it's not like how it works. I know you guys wish, because I saw somebody make a comment like, why can't Schumer whip Democratic votes like McConnell whip Republican votes? McConnell had to whip shit. McConnell really doesn't have to whip shit. You think McConnell has to go out and tell people, don't vote for $15 an hour?
Yeah, I think we talked about this a long time ago, but that is one of the strengths, I suppose, of the Republican Party is they will unify behind pretty much fucking anything. Back when we were talking about Roy Moore and his opponent, whose name I can never remember for some reason.
Doug Jones, poor man.
Right.
That man's done a whole bunch of like key civil rights litigation in his lifetime, and nobody ever remember who the fuck he is.
You know why it's sad? It's like it's not like he has a weird name. It's Doug Jones.
He has a plain name, and he's just a common looking guy. I mean, sorry.
It's too plain of a name. But
yeah.
I mean, at the time we were talking about Roy Moore as pretty much a child predator, and like it took a while before they kind of stopped pushing that horse, or even what's the name, Stephen King or whatever. Stephen King. Is that his name? Fuck.
No, it is. Isn't Stephen King Steve King? He doesn't call himself Stephen King. He calls himself Steve King.
I might have conflated his name with the writer, but
no, because I'm sure his full name is Stephen, but it's spelled different. He uses the STEVE version.
I mean, Stephen King says wild shit for a long ass time. Did they really break ranks from him all that quickly? No. Like, they're largely concerned with political power, I guess you could say. So it's not hard to get them to rally and support anything because as long as it's Republican in general, they're going to support it. Whereas I've always said the weakness of Democrats is that they're not as unified. But
yeah, because you have levels to their democracy where, well, you do have levels in the Republican, but it usually starts from insane, batshit insane to fucking like super like Nova insane. Like their levels scale on a different plateau.
When I said the Democrats aren't as unified, I might be pushing that too far. Because I mean, it's like if you look at them, culturally and socially, there's just like a lot of different concerns at play. Gender concerns, race concerns, religious bigotry, so like anti-Muslim issues, child care issues. Like they take on like a lot of shit at once. And sometimes, having to focus on that many things at once can cause some fraying. And then on the political level, you have people in states like Joe Manchin, like Kristen Sinema, who, I don't know how to say it, want to appear more moderate, I guess. That's probably the nicest way I could say it. But like,
yeah, apparently when she voted against the $15 an hour, she went up to like McConnell to make sure he noticed her and patted him on the back.
McConnell doesn't pat people on the back; he stabs them in the throat.
No, I mean, but she patted him, so she was trying to get his attention. He probably was like, "Bitch, leave me alone," because that's McConnell. He's evil. He doesn't give a fuck about you.
Legislation since before you.
Like, I don't really like. You're not currying my favor. I'm still gonna devour you as soon as I can. Like, because he's not gonna save her seat. Come on, she's a Democrat. He's not gonna help her win re-election. He's gonna find somebody to bury her fucking ass. And she's up soon because she's one of the first people in this next like fucking cycle of Senate election. So next year is her time.
Who knows? Maybe she gets that random endorsement from McConnell. If McConnell endorsed me, I would probably drop out because I'd be like, I don't know what he's planning, but I don't trust him. Something going crazy.
I'd be ashamed of myself as a human being to know that like Mitch McConnell, like it gives me a thumb up because I'm like, okay, so the devil was just publicly, adding me to his fucking ranks. Okay, I'm doomed for the rest of my life. Like. I'm soulless now. Gee, thank you.
But so yeah, no minimum wage hike. At least yet, I guess. I haven't followed the news on that. But
benefits for what's his name? It's going to be just an extra $300.
Unemployment benefits.
Yeah. Instead of the $400 that. Buying one because Joe Manchin can't have people have it. It's so fucking funny. Joe Manchin is the weirdest dude. He's the weirdest like person in Congress if you really think about it. Because think about this: he's from probably the poorest, if not one of the poorest states in this whole country. I was listening to some podcasts and they were saying like. Average cost of a home is somewhere around 100,000, maybe a little bit over. You know how much it is to buy a fucking house in Washington, D.C.? The city of D.C.? Just the city of D.C. No, you're looking somewhere between like 300, 350,000 minimum.
And you said they have like the lowest income?
Yeah, they do. Their medium is super dirt low. It's funny because I just saw somebody on Twitter be like, "Yo, seriously, answer me this question: How many people in the state of West Virginia make more than $150,000 a year? Probably not that many. Like they don't. It's a dirt fucking poor state. Like this whole fucking pandemic is probably destroying them more than any state in the mid-Atlantic right now or the East Coast as a whole, because they've already been devastated by the fact that the coal mining industry had already been struggling, and between regulations and them just basically mining all the resources probably has caused a huge dent in their economy anyway. Especially now that we're starting to move to more renewable fuels and trying to get away from natural resources and be more eco-friendly. West Virginia don't really have anything. Like there's no legitimate reason why anybody should migrate to the state of West Virginia. Like, you have the tech center where you're at, reason to migrate. You know, Texas is starting to have a big boom in that area too, so people are migrating there. Here you have the government and you have tech and you have military things, you know. So it's like a mix of things in the Washington, D.C. area that makes people migrate to it. West Virginia don't got shit to attract people.
Next to my area, because I have heard that people are migrating out.
Yeah, it's because it's so expensive that's why they're moving to places like Austin. That's why Texas is getting the big boom in that area now, because they say a lot, and that's why a lot of people are saying that you don't be surprised within the next couple of cycles that Texas might become blue because of that. Yeah, if your cost of living and certain environmental things like the water issue and all that were much, much better in California, nobody leave California. Who the fuck would leave California? I would deal with an earthquake to live someplace where I don't have to deal with any type of weather. Like, no extreme heat, no extreme cold.
Yeah, it's nice year round. It's funny you say that, because I remember coming here, I'm like, all right, I just got to go through one earthquake just so I can see what it's like and not freak out. And like, I don't think I've had a single earthquake here the last year.
It's not as frequent as people make it out to be. And you probably have experienced some, but it's probably just like normal, like weird tremors, like, ooh, you know, trucks are driving down the street. And then there's, oh yeah, it was earthquake. Oh, okay.
Maybe. I grew up in Florida, for those of you guys who don't know. So like, I expected every year either a hurricane or two, or like at least really bad rain in summer. So like, I've just kind of gotten used to a cycle of like, oh, the power might go out for a couple of weeks this year. I guess I just assumed earthquakes are definitely as frequent as hurricanes on the coast. But to your main point, what's his name? Manchin is an odd duck. And I don't know that he's getting, like, what is really the benefit of this? I don't know how many people are like, yeah, we love Joe Manchin because he's doing that.
Well, they are a conservative state, and it kind of is funny because before the show started, me and you were talking about, to let people listening know, me and Carter were talking about how certain minorities, there is a lot of conservatism in their manner. And I guess West Virginia, people are conservative, but they're not super hardcore. Not everybody's super hardcore. Like, you have super hardcore conservatives, but you have, I guess, what you can call like enough reasonable conservatives, if that is not an oxymoron, in the state where he appeals to them because he apes a lot of their ideals, but he's like democratic enough, liberal enough to appeal to those who think like some things should be done on that side as well. So he's found like this. He's this weird. He's probably the definition of a moderate or a centralist. Like, the best definition that you could find of either of those two terms, because he just sits in such a position where he's appealing to that side enough for a state that is generally red. Yeah.
So, and maybe I don't understand his local politics well enough, because I would feel like that's quite the tightrope for him to walk, and for him to be this stubborn about things like that would eventually backfire on him, especially given the economic issues his region already had and will have given the pandemic.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, that's the weirdness of,
at best.
But that's the weirdness of West Virginia, because yeah, it is a dirt poor state, but they still hold to those old school values so much. He appeals to those old school values. I mean, I hate to put it this way because I can't find a more, I can't find a better way to frame this, but they're literally the poor white trash that still hates like every other race or everything that doesn't appeal to their ideals. They're that poor white trash stereotype, basically. Like, well, at least I'm not a liberal. At least I'm not black. At least I'm not they'll go to the grave suffering without allowing anybody else to fucking get anything. Like, it's a weird state.
Yeah, and you guys have to forgive me if a few minutes ago you probably saw me looking at my cell phone. I was based on this talk about Manchin. I was trying to make sure I didn't mess up her name, Neera Tanden. I was wondering if he gave a better reason for like why Manchin was pretty much like, yeah, fuck her. Or I'm not approving her nomination for, I think it was the Office of Management and what the fuck is it?
Well, see, that's the thing.
God.
Yeah, she was Office of
Management and Budget. Sorry,
but because I think that's another thing about Joe Manchin that people need to realize. He's just content with walking that tightrope to keep his job. He's one of those type of politicians. I don't think Joe Manchin actually has any real like values or ideals. I just honestly think that he's found a position in a place that easily gets him a paycheck year in, year out. He is one of those. He is an example of the type of politician that you seriously need to get the fuck out as long as some others. But no, his breed needs to go first, in my opinion, because he's a career politician type of person. His only concern really is to be in office, and that's it. He doesn't have any particular interest in any real progress. He doesn't really have, I don't think he really has any interest in obstructing progress, to be honest. He just he's found that sweet spot of ideas that are agreeable to his voting base, and he just goes with it. Because he wasn't going to vote at all for this bill to even be brought to the floor until the Republican governor fucking laid the hammer down on him and told him, yo, your fucking state is dying. Get the fuck up off your ass and get the benefits. And that is his only interest in this bill, to be quite honest, is that, hey, he wants to put through enough stuff that will appease his governor. But he's going to fight all that shit that's going to appease the people who support him, like the $15 an hour, like the unemployment things, where he thinks it's too much to give people and all of that.
Yeah. All right, well, two things. Since I'm talking specifically about him, and then I'm going to make it something more general. I've heard, people ask specifically why Neera Tanden's comments, and I wish I had brought some of them up to read to you guys, but she made some comments on social media about certain political figures. People ask why that was so objectionable to him, yet he had also approved certain Trump. I say certain. I think he disapproved whatever Trump nominees. I don't know that he cared that much. Who had equal or worse, public comments, much worse behavior. And I don't know that's part of the reason I asked, because I don't know that he ever really addressed what is becoming a bit of a charge of sexism, I guess. So that's the one thing. I don't know that he ever gave a good reason for it. Outside of that, I was listening to this. I can't remember who they were interviewing. I think they were like a senator or something, and they were asking why is there this hesitance, toward doing such and such? And they mentioned, you rise up through the political ranks. You work your whole life to get to the Senate, or if you have grander ambitions, the presidency. And I was like, you see that attitude right there? You're treating this like it's a regular job that you're supposed to work toward and keep for your entire life.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be, because ideally, I know a lot of them don't behave this way, but like it's supposed to be treated as like, I don't want to call it volunteering, but something you come and you do your term of service and then you fucking leave. Like you're not really supposed to be treating it like it's, as far as career wise, monetarily wise, your end all be all that you can't afford to get kicked out of. You should be walking in there with the idea that it's a temporary thing that you're doing to help the nation.
You're like, I don't mind if your motivation is to stay, if that motivation is driven by the fact that you feel like if you don't, things won't change. Like if you was like a Maxine Waters type person, she keeps doing it because she wants to keep fucking like pushing to get things to be better. You know what I mean? It's not because she don't have any other like ideas of what she could do career wise. This is her passion. And that's why she keeps doing this shit. Because she likes the idea of being in a position to do something to help people. People like that, I have no problem with you wanting to fight for your job and keep it, because you're actually in there doing what at least a lot of us, if not what it probably should be, think that a politician should be in it for. It's to serve the people and to do what's right by the people and to like do things that will help the people. A lot of those cats, the Mitch McConnells of the world, Mitch McConnell just likes the power. Yeah. He likes the idea that he can fucking like bend the will of the land with his behavior. Like he's a power drunk fucking like disgusting person. Like he is the worst. Or people like Lindsey Graham. He is one of those like career people who is just looking for the best opportunity to keep like, his job. And he'll fucking bend over for anything in order to keep position and power. He's that motherfucker. Like, you need to get rid of people like that. Joe Manchin, you need to get rid of all of them. Susan Collins.
Do you have real goals that you want to achieve? Certain legislation, certain ideas you want to advance. Like, to your point about, I guess, Waters. I could see that you have like a specific thing you want to work on that you're passionate about, that you're willing to dedicate your life to, but it is kind of a line. Like, I don't want these many politicians treating it, because the way that person said it, I wish I could remember the interview, but yeah, in any other job, that motivation kind of makes sense. You are I'm a software engineer. I've worked, went through college, went through high school, actually, so I started programming. I do have a certain attachment to being able to be a software engineer that I think is understandable to most professions, especially if you have to like study a long time or work a long time to go up, the corporate ladder. But you need to think of public service as something a bit different than that.
Yeah. I know for a lot of them, it's just not that way. If anything, it's an opportunity to cash in. Sadly. Yeah.
Which, I will say that historically we've had talks about certain term limits and shortening other term limits in different parts of the government, but Mitch McConnell has been senator for about 100 years, so.
Yeah, Dracula's gonna die in his like throne. Y'all know that, right?
That's if somebody was to bet money on Mitch McConnell getting kicked out, it's like, no, he'll die a senator. That's gonna happen. Almost certainly. Something really fucking radical would have to happen for him to not die as a senator. Unless he just suddenly got bored or something. Like, I've had enough time for me to go make millions somewhere else.
Yeah, he has to die or he has to be medically incapacitated to like a form. And I don't even think the medical thing, because like, not speaking ill of the dead, but look at McCain. McCain was dying of brain cancer and he still came back to vote a few times. So, I mean, And he wasn't a jackass. He wasn't a total jackass like Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell was enough of a jackass to fucking like have them roll him in a fucking hospital bed, like while he's
Mitch would
brain
come back
dead,
to life.
and like they would have, he would write in his will that if I am brain dead, please keep me on the breathalyzer until the end of my term at least, so that you could wheel my fucking body in there on this bed, raise my limp, useless hand so I can vote fucking no to anything progressive. That's how dedicated I think he is. I think he will have that in his living will. That as long as he is able to breathe, be it mechanically or on his own, he will fucking continue to be a fucking nuisance to society.
Certainly. Sorry, I should have done this.
Oh, by the way, I found the
before.
tweets like from
Oh, nice.
near
I was about
and
to say.
basically it was stuff like a lot of people felt like her biggest mistake was, of course, she made comments about people who were on the committee, like such as Susan Collins, which she called her the worst for taking Brett Kavanaugh's word over his accuser. She's called Tom Cotton a fraud. She called Ted Cruz heartless as a vampire. It's stuff like that, stuff like the Republican Party is gleefully supporting an alleged child molester, and everyone who gives the money to the RNC is doing the same. That was her comments on Roy Moore. I mean, hey. She called Omarosa crazed, lying, low life, and a dog.
Oh God, I forgot about her.
No, that was when Trump called Omarosa that. She said that Trump just called a black woman a dog, and about 80% of the GOP don't think he's racist. So sorry, that wasn't her comment. That was Trump's comment about Omarosa. And in Omarosa's defense, she came with that. She came with Trump. So she basically got like fucked over for saying shit that, again, reasons why I would never end up being in politics, because of the shit I say. Because this shit I would have said. Shit most people would say about them. So
somebody pointed out, and part of the reason I'm sticking on this topic is like, we're pretty much saying that it's okay for you to not criticize people in power, which is illegal, but it's not very American in spirit, is it?
But no, here's the thing. They get on fucking social media and do that shit all the time. Trump's whole fucking leading up to his election, Trump's whole fucking energy and the thing that drove him was his fucking comments about Obama and all of the like Democrats. He fucking got on, like nobody came to and like tore him down like they tore her down for his tweets. Trump fucking tweeted about Obama's birth certificate. All that shit's archived. It's just that when it comes to them, it's one thing for them to do it. They can find every excuse in the world to accept that. But when you do it to them, as you've said plenty of times, they reveal to the world that they are the actual real snowflakes.
Yeah, true enough. And I think that's part of why Manchin gets these tepid accusations of sexism, because you've been putting up with this from men the entire time. Why do you do it? And a lot of Trump's nominees were assholes in public, and that did not bother you. One, it just seems fucking childish. Like if somebody said some shit about me like that, I'd be like, whatever, we can work together. Especially because like a lot of her comments are, even if they were somehow far, which most of them were pretty lighthearted, let's be honest, I could think of much worse things to say than If anything, she
I've
should be
said
criticized
much
for being
worse. I know
weak.
this, and I will say much worse, and I will continue to say much worse.
If anything, my criticism is that it wasn't strong enough. But like, to your point, it's stuff that most Americans were saying. And it's stuff that's true. The guy was an alleged sex offender, and y'all were supporting him. That's true. So these are not even. I mean, hell, I'm pretty sure she made this comment before all this happened, but look at Ted Cruz. His state was freezing over, and he fled to Cancun. Like, can you point to anything she said that wasn't correct? Like, as close to factually correct in some cases as possible. Like, nothing she said was actually wrong. From what I heard you read there, at least.
Or it wasn't as divisive as they were making out to be. Like, come on.
It's not like slander or something.
And
none of you can act like she didn't say the correct.
Nobody's suing her, so clearly it wasn't that harmful.
It's just, I don't really know much about her career-wise or anything, so it's not like I'm freaking out that we didn't get her confirmed per se. It's just like, what kind of precedence and reasoning is this that she couldn't get confirmed because of that? Again, I always hate, to assume racism or sexism of people, but like, yeah, they need to come up with decent reasons why it was different for her compared to those other guys. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. It's just going to skip through because I think she asked for her nomination to be withdrawn, which I believe Biden accepted. So they're going to find somebody else anyway.
Yeah. Because she was just like, why would I just keep holding shit up? Which, I don't blame her. But
imagine that, putting the administration ahead of yourself.
I don't know. I don't know, but it is what it is. At least most of his other picks are being passed, which is good. Yeah.
Justice for Nira.
Well, no, she's gonna get justice because Biden already said that he's gonna find her another job. So
yeah, I saw. And
I hope that he finds a job where she can be instrumental in fucking all of them over. That would be the sweetest revenge. Give her the opportunity. This is going to be a new term now. Give her the opportunity to Stacey Abrams them. It's like, you take my shit, I'm gonna take everything from you. I
never thought about that, but yeah, she became almost a worse problem in that position.
Right. You should have let her be governor because now you fucking trying to make all these different changes and all these laws and shit like that to even further voter suppression. And she keeps coming. And she's got her group is nationwide now. No, they coming for your fucking ass. You unleashed the monster. Should have let her be governor.
About trying to run again?
I think she is going to run again, but she got a couple of years, so she got enough time to do damage. Trust me.
I don't know if we talked about it, but my mom has asked me this question several times before Biden, showed off his cabinet nominees and whatnot. She kind of asked me if it seemed like she was being snubbed by not getting a cabinet nomination, all this stuff for all her hard work. And I didn't know how to respond to that. Part of my response was I don't know that she needs to be in the cabinet per se. I'd kind of like her to stay. How do I put this? She has become and is becoming increasingly popular due to all that stuff. I think she could win other elections. I don't think she needs to be there.
No. And I think Biden
strategically it would be, yeah. I think she could. I don't know what she wants to run for, but I think it would increase Democratic power if she could win, some seat in either the House or the Senate somehow. I think she's in a good position to get there. So I don't know in the long term that she was kind of phrasing it she felt Stacey was kind of owed this given all her hard work. It's maybe, but might be more useful elsewhere. So
well, see, the thing is, we don't know what conversations had been held between everybody, for one. So that's another. But two, I think just from my perspective, while pie in the sky, like in the moment, sure, I would have loved her to get something. I would have loved her to be one of the cabinet positions people, just like I would have loved Elizabeth Warren to be on it. But as with Elizabeth Warren, you have to think about things and you have to realize that sometimes it's best not to reward these people, even though it's not necessarily a reward when you think about it, because they are well-deserving people. But sometimes it's better if you like keep them in the place that they are because of how effective that they are in getting other shit done. Elizabeth Warren being in the Senate is probably much more effective now than she could be being like, the head of the Treasury Department or something like that, because she's going to head up a bunch of committees that are going to be doing investigations and, things like that can effectively seek and destroy problems, and affect change. Stacey Abrams would be a hell of a fucking cabinet member in just about any capacity. I mean, the woman's smart. She knows a lot about a lot of different subjects. But especially now where we're seeing this whole focus and this move for voter suppression to be ramped up through quote unquote legal means by them trying to vote through all these different measures, she's the perfect person to whip up people to get out there and vote, despite like she knows the electoral laws ins and out. She'll closely follow all of these things. If there's changes, she will let people know, and she will give people the path to go and find the easiest way to still vote despite all the bullshit. Because that's what happened in Georgia. They have been fucking with Georgia since she ran for governor. Yet somehow so many people voted despite all the stuff that they've tried and they've done in the last 2 years since she ran, and she beat them at their own game. And I think right now, as long as she's in that position, she's doing the best. And then if she decides to run, let her run for her own personal shit if she wants to. If she wants to run for governor, fine. Be governor. She'll still have a heavy influence on things because of who she is. But I think right now you've put her in the position to keep building this group. I forget the name of the group that she's in. She's kind of spearheading the voter group, but this group is now being solidified in the time that she's not sitting on the on a cabinet thing. And then, come next year when she could run for whatever election, that shit should be in, well enough position where you don't need her and she can go do whatever the fuck she want. Go be governor of Georgia. Go be House of Representatives member for Georgia. Fuck it. Is there another? There's only two. Too bad there's only 2 Senate seats in Georgia. She could take one of those. I mean, hell, again, with her being where she at, she can keep Warnock and she can keep Ossoff in their seats, which would be devastating to the Republicans if she can keep those 2 seats from flipping at all. Because remember, Ossoff is up next year. That's the end of his term.
Yeah, I will say this conversation took place well before those two winning their elections and before. I guess it was probably predictable, but before all these, I guess, what do you call them? Voter suppression attempts by Republicans across the country. So at the time, I think, now that I'm thinking back to it, I think my argument was she could probably take a Senate seat, and given how precarious the Republican Democratic balance is, it would be more useful to have her there if she can win it to tip the scales. And she's popular in a way that even those two aren't, as much as if they won, largely due to her help too. And that's good shit, but I remember we were talking about her just the other day, and then I looked over all the TV, and there she fucking was showing up for an interview again. she is becoming more and more, gaining more and more notoriety, I should say. And that could be useful at that level.
Yeah, no, she's definitely like some people are just are better like doing certain things. I think a lot of people don't realize that, and it's understandable because a lot of us don't understand the way politics work anyway. Just like the whole thing that when I mentioned how people want to get rid of Schumer and how everybody thinks Joe Manchin is in control of the Democratic Party and blah 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 blah. Like a lot of us don't understand the ins and outs and how things work.
I will say I could get the frustration though, because we have to talk about him a lot because right now, the Senate split 50-50 minus the tiebreaker of Kamala.
And it's only 50-50 with him.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because the Republicans are going to pretty much say, as a group, solidly fucking no to anything. So if you want to get it passed, you need all the Democrats plus Kamala pretty much to get it passed at that level. So, I mean, we talk about Manchin in this particular case in cinema, I suppose, but really any Democrat, I suppose, any Democrat senator could pull that same thing where all of a sudden something hinges on them.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, maybe I'm sure part of it too is just that maybe Manchin likes being that fucking guy who can be like, hey, it only passes by my grace, bitches. I'm sure there's a certain power trip that he likes to that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's fucking like, gosh, I wish he wasn't in West Virginia because he could easily be beaten if he were in like let's just say a better state. I was about to say something real ignorant. Let's just say a better state, a better politically aligned state.
I was gonna say that's still kind of me.
Huh?
It's still kind of me the way you said it, like a better state. Like, okay,
a better state politically aligned.
Trash.
Like I said, a better state politically aligned is what I'm saying. I'm not saying like a better state, period. Although, I mean,
if only he wasn't in such a shithole state.
I mean, you said it. I ain't say that. That's not him. Sitting over here. But yeah.
I'm dead. And it does kind of feel, because we talked about it, I think, last podcast, about, pretty much the minority getting what they wanted. He's kind of another example of that within the Democratic Party, where it's like, he's one fucking guy, but it's like, if he doesn't want it to happen, it's probably not going to happen somehow still.
Yeah, and see, people like him, I think, also get a kick out of that shit too, which makes it even worse. I hate that man. Jeez, we need to find like somebody better. Anyway, speaking of West Virginia and it being, that state, needing to be a better state, as I so eloquently said, but with a caveat, I'm taking away that caveat now because it needs to be a better state because it's doing something stupid right now. Today, West Virginia added itself to the list of states that are 100% open.
Did it?
Yes. I just saw the news right before we went live. West Virginia governor announced that they will be going back 100% next week. And they join now Mississippi and Texas, which Mississippi and Texas also repealed the mask mandate. So you don't have to wear a mask. You're not required to wear a mask in places. I think we spoke about it last week on the podcast. Maryland has started reopening schools and a couple of other states as well. As of Monday, the schools in my county will all be back. Teachers are not a priority for vaccination, so they have not been vaccinated, by the way. Keep that in mind. At least here. I don't know about any place else, but I do know in Maryland, teachers have been prioritized for vaccination, so many of them have not been vaccinated at all, and they still don't know when they're going to get vaccinated. But they have to go to work because Maryland apparently is a state, as I've read, that won't allow teachers to strike. So if you don't go to work, then you lose your job effectively. Fun times.
So didn't the administration start up some program for teachers like nationwide to start getting vaccinated?
I believe they're trying to. I think that's a part of the relief bill, which we have to get that passed. But on the state to state level, it depends on how they want to do it. And right now, teachers aren't one of the more prioritized positions.
So I'd watched a bit of their little announcement about this program and listen to some of the talk about how it works. Like,
yeah, because
apparently it's like through pharmacies and shit, and they're supposed to get like some teacher password or whatever the fuck it is that allows them to get it.
Because Biden's ideal time frame for schools to be back in is, I believe he said August, like this fall. This, so people are ramping up the timetable now. And it's all disjointed because states are able to do like things on their own. I don't know. We'll see how this works because I am expecting, with all of these states opening and schools being back in some places, we're about to get another spike.
I mean, a couple of things though. First, as far as their attempt to, give teachers specifically a program to get vaccinated, I do appreciate that because I think the last time we talked about it, maybe it was last week, I had said, kind of echoing other people's sentiment, if it's such a big priority for you to get teachers or get schools open, why not include teachers as part of like the 1A group or whatever, waves they had planned? So this was kind of an escalation in their attempt to get teachers vaccinated. So I respect that much, at least. That said, I'm a little confused about the rationale and strategy of this. Because what other good piece of news we heard this week is that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine got cleared and they've been partnered up with Merck's to increase their production. So that, I believe, is pushing us forward as far as, when was the date? They said sometime in the next few months, I think they should have enough vaccines produced for all adults in America. I wish I could remember the time frame exactly, but that kind of pushed it up a bit. They seem to have been, their vaccination rate seems to be improving and going well. So I just looked at that. I was like, okay, not to be too optimistic, I guess, but it's like, you kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So when they're talking about like pushing to get the schools open, pushing to get them open, I'm like, at this rate, why bother? Because you talked about needing certain things in the school, ventilation, social distancing, blah, blah, blah. It's going to take time to set that up. One, it's going to take money from that bill that you were talking about that hasn't gone through yet. And even when it goes through, money doesn't just like magically make things happen. So it's going to take time for them to be able to acquire and use that money. And like by the time all that would really be done, in my mind, I might just be bad at estimation, but it's like a lot more motherfuckers would be vaccinated. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do some of that stuff, but to me, it's starting to feel like by the time you could actually do any of this stuff, we would already be sort of done with this, you know what I mean? Or at least it would be a lot less of a requirement because by that time, teachers vaccinated, all adults vaccinated. I don't think the children would be vaccinated by then, but they don't seem to need to be as much.
No, they're not vaccinating children at all because children have a higher immunity rate, but that doesn't mean that they don't carry the virus. And that's the problem. That's what I was saying to somebody earlier. I was talking to. It's like the problem isn't necessarily like that you're thinking like, well, what if the kids catch it? It's been low, so I get that idea. But kids are dirty, and I've said this plenty of times before. Like kids will touch anything, they will like jump off anything. They don't know how to separate. You know,
I mean, it's not just them. Like the school facilities are all, not all, but like a lot of them are not very good. That's why they talked about ventilation, because they're shit.
yeah, because they
Like,
got poor ventilation. Oh my god! Like thinking about this, good example. Maryland schools barely have like proper venting circulation, environment control at all. They've been doing the like whole crazy thing of trying to like fix these schools and get them proper ventilation and get them actual air conditioning and heating. There was a winter not too long ago where mad schools like had no heat. It was a bitter cold winter, and they had to figure out something to do because they didn't want those kids sitting in there freezing their asses off and shit like that. So
I remember when I was in high school, they were like building a new like school pretty much. And so like we were at this place and like half the classes I think were in these like trailer things out in this big ass yard, which, you know, certainly would have been social distance. But and again, this is part of my point. Is like it's gonna take I think we should fix a lot of that shit and improve our infrastructure in a lot of areas. So I'm not saying don't do it, but it's like, you know, by the time you could possibly finish that and really get that going, would you really need it in terms of COVID-19?
yeah,
And maybe, you know, because I don't have kids, I'm not feeling the rush and imperative of this, but part of me is like, what's the difference of a few months, really, right? Like, is it that horrific to like just not do it for a few months until we've gotten everybody vaccinated? You're already ramping up.
yeah, it's problematic. It's very, very problematic. But I feel like you're gonna get a slew more states starting to be bold. Like I saw the governor of South Dakota like tweet praise to the governor of Texas, Abbott, talking about like thank you for being like a brave and smart state and doing what you want to do and leading the way and showing the example. Some dumb shit like that. It's like so.
I kind of skipped that to talk about the school, but like I don't understand the political reasoning for that. Like, could you explain that? Like Abbott's move there.
Well, if you notice, the first thing that he said after he opened up was his comments about immigration and talking about, oh, now Biden's going to just let all immigrants in, and now we're going to like have a spike in like COVID cases, blah blah blah. Which none of that, like, for one, Biden's not allowing immigrants to flood in. What Biden and his administration did was, okay, so I don't think we talked about this, but Biden caught flat because it was found out that a bunch of kids that had migrated to the United States without their parents had to be moved to this special facility that they normally use to isolate immigrants in. People threw an outrage because it was basically it's a like I won't say it's a like internment camp on the level of World War II internment camps or something like that, but it is a place that has been generally used as a depot for immigrants. And people have been screaming because I've been seeing people do like, oh, see, he's doing the same thing Obama did and Trump did. He's just as bad as all of them. They're all horrible and shit like that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, once they started to explain it, you realize like, hey, these are kids who have no parents and we don't have any place to put them. This is the best place to put them. We're not putting them there because we want them there. We're putting them there because we're trying to figure out exactly what to do. And we don't have facilities just built like for the purpose of keeping these kids in any place like right now that's more pleasant. So it has to be this place because it has the available room. That's all they're doing. And then they announced that they are working on like finding the parents of these kids while they keep them there, and then trying to figure out a legal way to bring the parents to a path of citizenship if they don't want to bring their kids back home. So No, he's not flooding in immigrants. Quite to the contrary. But because Abbott made this jackass move to reopen everything 100%, it's perfect timing for him because now if it does spike, he's already salted, you know, the earth. He's already thrown it in the air to make the people who follow his dumbass, who are a bunch of dumbasses themselves, to put 2 and 2 together and come up with 17.
It's quite cynical, but I should laugh because it's really fucking dark. But I looked at that. I'm like, you know, a lot of other people's frustrations. Vaccine production's ramping up. People are getting vaccinated. We're hoping for some kind of herd immunity, you know, months from now. Like, right when you're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, y'all are just going to be like, fuck it, free for all. And part of me is asked is like, is this move because they're just so confident in these vaccinations that they just don't give a shit? And they figure like, oh, well, it's going to be over soon anyway. Like,
No, it's political theater. And that's the thing. And it's, you know, it sickens me because it's this type of political theater that works. Because think about, like, again, we just talked about like the whole thing with Trump and all of his tweets and all the horrible things that he said, all the tweets that people like Ted Cruz and them have said over the year. Near Tanden can't fucking get a job now because her tweets were directed. They were harsh in language, but you know, they weren't even harsh in language, but they were harsh in, I guess, the intent. I don't even know if that she didn't say anything that like hundreds of millions of people have said in the last 4 years about these people. But they were able to weaponize that and use the political theater of the mind to fuck over the people who, you know, are easily duped into being like, oh my God, that's horrible, and things like that. Because if you actually take a step back and pay attention to what's going on in the world and do a little bit of 30-second research, as I like to say, you'll realize that she didn't really say anything that bad. And that has nothing to do with her fucking job ability, her capabilities of handling a job. But, you know, that's what they like to do because, let's be honest, we spent the last 4 years talking about the horrible things that Trump said. Even though the horrible things Trump said, in some cases, almost led to wars and shit. But, you know, that's the thing. They got to go tit for tat, and they're better at doing it because, as you said, they're the actual snowflakes. That shit bothers them and tears on them and causes them much more pain than anything they do to us. Like, we hate that shit, but we deal with it. They don't deal with it. They just manipulate it and use it to their advantage.
and they're ruthless about it too, because I mean, you'll notice a lot on the side opposite them. There's sort of this compulsion to like fairness and not wanting to seem like you're biased or something, which they often do a good job of sort of manipulating and abusing.
Very much so. So no, that's pretty much the gist of Abbott's action. He knows what he's doing. He's betting on shit to go up.
And remember, this is a state that was just going through no power and water. Like just the other day.
I think that's another thing too. Is like, again, the whole, you know, theatrical political side of it too is that this throws the scent off of him, because again, he's already thrown up the 100% open thing. He's did a shit job of the, you know, fixing it, and this is part of the reason I think too why he's doing it, because they got fucked over in that whole thing economically, I'm sure, with the snowstorm. So he's trying to rush back to get the money back, on top of putting himself in the position to use this and weaponize it against the Democratic Party as well. And it throws the scent off of the failure that he was during that snowstorm. So
That's a
yeah,
good point.
it's gonna be easy for him to try to like be like, see, they did it. Because again, they don't have no fucking plans. They don't have any fucking strategy. They don't have any real fucking philosophy except for get power and manipulate it and get all you can out of it.
Sure. I mean, you think the big priority would be one, recovery in Texas, and two, creating some preventative measures so that shit didn't happen again. But was it used right back to the political theater? Like, there's no. I mean, hell, look at Cruz. I mean, he's there too.
Yeah.
Only thing he was doing was like showing up on news, talking shit, talking about how the Green New Deal is stupid, which a lot of them did. It's like these motherfuckers don't even actually want to do jobs.
No, it's funny because I heard this on the podcast I listened to today. There are a bunch of people in Congress that showed up on the CPAC that just went on.
Yeah.
Apparently a few of them skipped voting on some things to show up to that thing, claiming that they were too busy or they were sick, and then they showed up for that shit.
That's great.
They don't fucking care about their goddamn job at all.
Just a while back, when what's her name? Green. Something Green. The crazy lady.
Yeah.
You can say about a lot of them, but like, she got removed off her committees, and she's like, whatever. It would have been a waste of time anyway. It gives me more time to talk to the people. It's like, do y'all think you're just professional celebrities? Like, what are you talking about?
All right.
Literally just don't want to work.
No.
I guess we talked about, the idea of looking at it as like a career that you should always be a part of. But I think a lot of them just look at it as a form of celebrity too, not.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I may have undersold, but shit.
Yeah,
I meant to ask if you watched CPAC.
No, I've seen some clips. I saw Ted Cruz try to make like Cancun jokes and do stand-up comedy, which I like, really? You just made a joke about like, what was the joke? Something like, I would have been here earlier, but I had to like get back on the plane once in Cancun. Almost missed my flight in Cancun.
I think he said
he
loves it here, because I guess it was in Florida. It's like, I love, wherever this is, almost as much as Cancun or something like that.
Yeah, it was something really, really tasteless. It's like, really?
But here's the thing, they laughed.
Yeah, because they're tacky people. They discuss, again, they don't give a fuck. They find that shit funny because it's like, well, yeah, I'm gonna go on vacation. What the fuck? I'm not gonna stay here in the snow. What do you think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna fucking try to get bills passed to save us?
I mean, I caught a couple clips too, and as people are pointing out, like, look at the shit they talk about, like, was it Dr. Zeus at that time? Like, they talk about like these little dumb, complainy, whiny things about cancel culture and whatnot that just kind of show up in right-wing media that nobody really gives a fuck about.
Let's touch on the Dr. Seuss thing too, because that's again another level of fucking stupidity. So, what is it? National Reading Day, I think it's called, or whatever. Usually it's celebrated on Dr. Seuss' birthday, where this initiative to get kids to read happened. So Biden talked about the day, and he didn't mention Dr. Seuss, which I guess tipped some people off, because then it was announced in Virginia, in Loudoun County, Virginia, that they will no longer be carrying they would no longer be requiring students to read Dr. Seuss because of the racist and divisive things that he said. They kept the books in school. They said they will always be available in the library for kids to read, but they're not going to use that as part of their agenda for the whole reading campaign. Because of that, people threw up in arms and started saying Dr. Seuss is canceled. So much so that people kept saying, like, oh my God, they don't allow kids to read Dr. Seuss, blah, 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 which is not true. Again, school just said, we're not going to prioritize this or make this the flagship reason why we want kids to read. We're going to push other young things catered to younger people for them to read, especially since there's a lot more in modern times to delve for. Then after like that was announced, the publisher announced that they would no longer be publishing 6 of his books because of the derogatory and racially insensitive art and sayings that were in the book. I can't tell you what the books were because I've never heard of these books. They were none of his popular books, so I think it's safe to say that he's not canceled, but people are sitting there screaming that he's canceled. So much so that I actually ran across a tweet, and I should have sent it to you, of I believe it was Kevin McCarthy sitting there doing a video talking about how he loves Dr. Seuss so more, and he sits there and reads you Green Eggs and Ham just to show you how much he loves it.
You should have said that because I would have definitely said you were bullshitting.
I fucking wish I was bullshitting. In fact, I am going to send that to you.
But I think I touched on this when we were talking about some schools here in California having their name changed or whatever. Like some things that like, you know, who was really thinking about stuff like this? But they get blown up into these enormous fucking issues on right-wing social media. Like Mr. Potato Head now being whatever he is or she is or it is, whatever.
Yeah,
it's a
that.
potato.
For those who don't know, they will no longer sell the toy under the name Mr. or Mrs. Potato Head. It's just Potato Head, which is the doll, and they give you some attachments so you can make it however you want. Now, here's the thing, and this is pointed out, you know, shout out to the Look Forward podcast for making this like well known too, but it's something that a lot of people don't seem to realize about the Mr. Potato Head. Have you ever played with a Mr. Potato Head?
No.
Now, which I'm not surprised, but if you look at the toy, if you look up a Mr. Potato Head and a Mrs. Potato Head, they're the same fucking toy. You know what's the difference between the two?
I assume the parts that come with it, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
One comes with lady lips, lady eyes, lady hat, and all that. One comes with a man's mustache, or you know, a man's eyes, or whatever. That's it. That's all the fucking it. They're the same exact like fucking doll, built the same way with the same holes to put the attachments in. So you could actually turn a Mr. You could actually Mr. Potato Head may have actually been the first transsexual in the history of humanity, because you could literally take a Mrs. Potato Head stuff and put it on a Mr. Potato Head. Why? Because it's the same thing. It's just a fucking blank potato doll with holes in it to stick stuff in.
And yeah, somebody actually, I think at CPAC made that joke. It's like, even Mr. Potato Head's getting canceled. He was pretty much the first transsexual toy. And like, I remember when we first talked about that story, I said something like, I think the real story here is that apparently they were still making Mr. Potato Heads in the first place.
Yeah, I know. Like, who fucking
the fuck
knew
is
that?
playing with that? And that's what I mean. Like, there's things that like, I don't know. I'm sure some people, maybe they're like great, wonderful changes. Most people, they're like, who the fuck cares? You know, nobody's really, I don't know that many people were like up in arms over the fact that there was still a Mr. Potato Head in the first place. I've never heard a single person angry about that in my life. But they get blown up into things way bigger than they really are in like right-wing social media. Like, there are things I'll see sometimes I think, well, that's kind of dumb and pointless, but like, they're not worth like killing a person over either.
Yeah, no, it's
to the point, snowflakes.
Yeah, because they're not, again, they didn't cancel Mr. Potato Head. They just decided to drop the certain name to it. They're not using Mr. or they're not using Mrs. They're just saying potato head. Get it how you want it. Play with it how you want it. Identify it how you want it. That's
same thing with
it.
Dr. Seuss. Because I remember when I read that story, I was like, what the fuck did Dr. Seuss do? Barely more than I would have thought, but like, I had the same reaction. It's like, kids still read Dr. Seuss. Like, why are we acting like this is the Bible for children? There's other books.
I don't know. I mean, I guess kids still do. I sincerely doubt they read it like they used to.
I mean, it doesn't shock me that they read it, but it's like, it's a kid's book. There's lots of kids' books. Kids' books teach simple lessons. I could write a kid's book. And that's not demeaning kids' books writers. I'm just saying, like,
You heard it here, folks. First, folks. Cardiac thinks all like kids writers are dumb as shit and don't know what the fuck they're doing. They just luck up. You hear that, J.K. Rowling?
Well, I wouldn't call that a kid's book in the same sense, but I think that's a little higher level than that. But I mean, yeah, I can see that there's some challenges to writing a book that is entertaining to dumbasses. I hate how it still sounded mean, but I was really trying to say it as a
He's
compliment.
calling your children dumb, people. Listen
I'm not
to this
apologizing
man.
for that. Kids are dumb. That's
Children
no shame in
are
it.
stupid.
There's a reason you can get them to believe in Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. They're fucking idiots. But you mentioned that what's his name reading the Dr. Seuss book. It's like, it's not the fucking Bible. Relax. Like, it's a book. It's a kid's book. We can find others. It was never that big a fucking deal. If you need Dr. Seuss books to teach your kids those kind of lessons, you might be bad parents, for one. And you might not be very well versed in reading, for two.
Yeah, look, Dr. Seuss is cool. We all like Dr. Seuss. Come on.
I didn't give a shit about it. Like, if my kid was in this school and they said they're not doing Dr. Seuss anymore, my first reaction would be like, cool. I didn't really think about the fact that you were doing it in the first place until you brought this conversation up.
Your children will never survive a world in which they can never read one fish, two fish, two fish,
Red fish,
blue fish. Yeah. That's the greatest lesson of all life.
I remember when I was a kid, we got to make green eggs and ham at home, which I thought was the coolest shit.
Wait,
and
what?
I'm like,
why are you making green eggs and ham? Ham and eggs should not be green. Yeah.
I thought it was like, as a kid, cool. And then I started to look back. I'm like, it was really just food coloring and act like it was fucking magic. Like, it's the stupidest thing. Like, you can make food any color you want.
Yeah, if you really wanted to.
God.
Yeah.
See, kids are stupid. I thought it was hot shit making green eggs and ham. I just made eggs and ham, put some fucking green food coloring. Act like.
Yeah, you made eggs and ham. You didn't like fucking. But did you find out that you like green eggs and ham, Sam?
I don't remember if I ate it. God, kids are awful.
Ladies, this man will never have a baby for you. It'll get you pregnant. So he hates children. Heard it here first.
Be a terrible dad.
Cardiac hates the kids.
I'd like to believe in Santa Claus for like a couple of years and be like, you actually believe that, bro? You're dumb. You're not gonna make it.
Are you gonna be the dad that's gonna be like, hey, I've refused? What show was that? I forget what black show that was, but the dude was like, I refuse to let some white man take credit for the hard work that I do all year on this day.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like Everybody Hates Chris or something, but like.
I forget what show, but something to that effect. But You got a fair point, fair point.
I just be talking mad shit. Like, did you see a chimney where he just walked through the front door when it was locked?
Yeah, I guess this does lend to your whole children's stupid thing because I've never lived in a house as far as I can remember that actually had a fucking chimney. So how the fuck did this man get into our house?
Oh, he came by. He knocked when you were sleeping. We let him in. It was nice.
Like, what are you climbing through windows now or some shit like that? Like, how does nobody see you and didn't call the police?
You know how many families are on Earth? He says he does it in one day. One night, I should say. Like, how does that work? It's daytime on the other side. How does that work?
Yeah, if he's magical, why isn't he visiting the homeless kids and giving them gifts, helping them out,
Look,
giving them the gift of money to get a house to live in? Santa Claus is a fucking fraud.
You didn't notice your rich friend over there got like a brand new car and you got socks? Funny how Santa works based on family income, huh? Isn't it?
Right, exactly. Like, and those the poor kids get all the like really poor cheap shit, and the kids whose parents got great jobs and make decent money get the cool shit. Like,
Santa respects economics.
Like, little Billy got the fucking PlayStation 5, but Tommy over here living in the slums, got the fucking Soldier Boy console. What's up with that?
That'd be worse than getting coal.
Yeah, it would be.
At least coal you could burn for energy and make it useful.
Yeah, give me nothing over that.
That gift is fighting words. You give me that, I'm assuming you hate me and we're done.
Yeah, basically. Like, you ain't even put no thought or effort into this gift. You just fucking... There's no love at all. But yeah. Crazy times. Crazy.
All that shit said, I'm starting to like every once in a while glance on Google, like, can I get a needle stuck in my neck or whatever y'all do now? I don't go to the ER.
Oh, you look acupuncture or something?
I mean the vaccine.
Oh, the vaccine? It's in your arm, sir. Come on. They're not going to do that.
I should be careful not to mislead you motherfuckers, because apparently some of you believe anything, but...
No, it's supposed to go in my neck. What are you doing? This is a proper medicine. Cardiac said...
I heard it goes between the fingers so you can't see the track. No? Okay.
That's toe, sir, for the like real drug addicts.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh God. Just walk and take down your. Is that an ass shot? No.
Right.
But yeah, they're vaccinating a lot of people, but those people ain't me.
Yeah, the whole vaccination thing is, it gets. Like everything in this country, just slow moving.
I'm not as like hard pressed as some of you guys, but I'd like to visit the East Coast again, sometime in life. I'm not saying the second I get a vaccination, I'm just gonna fucking sprint to the East Coast. I'm just saying, like, once the nation is kind of vaccinated and it's safer to travel, I would like to go back to the fucking East Coast.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. We'll see. Did you ever remember what you wanted to talk about, by the way? Before we go.
I don't think I did. I'll probably remember it.
What's funny is I feel like we probably talked about it and you just don't remember it being.
Maybe. Usually it's like when I'm listening to like a political podcast or just, catching clips of the news or something during the week. I'm like, that's interesting. And then for some reason, never think to like write it down.
I mean, who knows what it could have been? Was it I don't know. Can't think of anything serious. Was it that Funko announced that they're making a UA high school Funko Pop?
That company is
with Azuka Midoriya?
They should not be able to produce like this. They're fucking obnoxious.
I mean,
Like, I bet they have deals where they can like get the news on shit early, so they can have a Funko Pop just ready.
I mean, why
And they
not?
probably know all the Marvel movies for like the next 5 years, and it's like Funko Pops in storage, ready to go.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we get Captain Marvel 2 ones coming in.
God, they make so fucking many of them.
Yes, they do. Ooh, that's loud. Sorry.
I'm not even hating. It's like impressive. It's like you'll have the 200 different variants of just Spider-Man or something. It's like I remember seeing the fucking Biggie one from that album. What was it?
I still haven't got. Yeah.
I don't know why I said
Ready
Biggie
to
like
Die.
the restaurant. I meant Biggie the rapper. My bad.
Yeah, Ready to Die.
Yeah,
I love the album cover.
Fucking baby. I was like, bro, who's making these? How?
I actually need to get that shit. I like that. What? You don't think it looks cool?
Give me the loop. Give me the loop.
The album was so great.
But yeah, I don't recall. I would just say if you guys can get your stupid vaccinations, get them.
Yeah, get vaccinated, please. If they're gonna be opening up all this shit, like at least give yourself some type of protection from their bullshit.
You know, I will say once I was like looking and what's that news hit about, the vaccinations ramping up with the Johnson & Johnson and shit, sickle shot. I was like, okay, I kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel to like going back to normal. And then I realized I had a little bit of anxiety about going back to normal that I didn't realize was there. I'm not saying I accepted the world being doomed, but I was like, do I still know how to drive a car? Like, do I know how to get to
I heard
work?
somebody on the podcast said that they still had this full tank of gas that they started last March with. That's how long it's been since they driven their car.
I think my battery.
You
died.
might want to go. I was going to say you might want to go turn your car over to make sure the battery comes on, just in case.
I was driving it like periodically to keep that from happening, but I underestimated the winter, so I saw that the other day. Plus, mental anxiety about going outside, so I probably waited a little longer than usual. Because I had like a set like thing on the calendar where I would just go out there and like drive down to it's like a store or whatever. Whenever I felt like, so I get a lot of groceries delivered now, but I would make it a point to like go and like drive and get them myself every so often just to get the car some exercise. But I didn't. One, the winter kind of affected the battery kind of odd, and two, I guess it wasn't really because like that battery charges when you drive, and I may have been driving too short a distance to properly.
It's hybrid.
Charge it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I think I got accustomed to like driving like. For a while, I was driving like an hour and a half each way, and then I was driving like 20 minutes when I finally moved closer to work. So like I was used to like long trips. So I didn't charge it up as much with each drive as I should have, but I'm getting that fixed.
Well, just wait till Biden gets all the electric cars in their circulation, then everybody got to plug up their car.
But I don't know if other people are thinking about it. Like it's not that I'm not excited or something or looking forward to it, but it's just like going to an office, like seeing people again feels kind of. I was listening to people talk about it in a discussion. Like, there's some people who have gotten kind of accustomed to working from home. Like, they don't like not being able to see their family and go out and shit, but they're not really interested in like going to the office anymore. I've had some coworkers talk about like maybe we could do kind of a split, like 3 days in the office, 2 days out. Like, I do think. I don't know how you feel about it, but there's sort of. Maybe some cultural tastes around going into an office kind of changing in different sectors.
Just being around people in like large capacities, like isn't just being in an office at a desk.
I don't know how I feel. I've seen
having an actual set schedule that you have to actually adhere to.
Yeah. I mean, I want that part because I feel more productive, but like I am kind of understanding each part of that spectrum. Where like some people are like, yeah, I don't want to be in an office anymore. Some people are like, I still want the professional socializing, so I kind of want to go in sometimes, but not all the time, not as much as I used to. And there's some people who are like, fuck, I want to go in every day. I miss it. So it's like, I was listening to like an argument about like what we should do at the office.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting when all this stuff kind of comes back. Like, what are people gonna do?
I'll say like working from home, one good thing is I can just kind of work out at any given time of the day. So it's like,
Yeah, and that's the thing. People are getting used to that kind of routine where they can do their work at their own pace and at their like.
whereas if
I think for a lot of jobs, if you're capable of doing that, they should leave it that way.
it's kind of hard because like if you want to do like collaboration or something, like it's weird.
But that's what I mean. Like, yeah, you should leave it that way. Like, and give them an option. You know, if you need to come in, come in.
Yeah, I know what I asked like early, you know, when we were shutting down, like maybe some things will change permanently, and like ironically, we're like coming up on that point where we're gonna see if some things change.
Yeah,
because some people want them to change now. They've as much negative as there has been, there's some things people kind of want to keep.
Especially with there being talks that this may be like just a virus that is just going to be around pretty much like the flu. Like the possibilities of that happening.
Which, by the way, another reason to say fuck those states that are just like, yeah, we're going to fully open, because the more viruses spread, the more opportunity they have to mutate. So, like, you all are being real pricks. Sorry.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. All right. Any book suggestions or anything, sir?
I still haven't finished the last one. Kill Switch. What's it called? That's what it called. Kill Switch: The Rise of the Modern Senate and the Crippling of American Democracy. Although I am pretty close to done, but I need to listen to it again because something I need to listen to more closely. I was like, listen, I caught like random little stories. Like, I think there was some rule where like you needed to be present to vote on some shit or it couldn't go through. So like apparently there were like some senators who would just leave the fucking room so that they didn't have to vote on it and would like fuck it up back in the day. They were always finding ways to like fuck with the rules in stupid ways.
Always. All right, let's stop because we can drone on and on and on for this shit, and it's getting late. All right, don't read comic books. Well, I was going to say, don't read comic books and watch WandaVision. That's my suggestion.
At least read X-Men. X-Men is good.
Stay away from the super convoluted shit. Jeez. But yeah, watch WandaVision. WandaVision is very, very good. This last episode should make you cry. Almost had me crying. So sad.
Catch up on it, and I can't remember when Falcon and the Winter Soldier comes out, but it should be soon.
The 19th.
Of what? This month?
This month. I'm sorry. Is it 19th? Yeah, no, 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks.
I'm not saying I needed a break, but goddamn.
You got a break. You got 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Back to work, motherfucker.
Get ready. And then after that, you got fucking Loki and what is Loki coming on? Loki.
All right, so definitely catch up.
June 11th. So at least you have a bigger breath of a break. You have a little bit more longer break for that. So yeah,
I don't even say that too, because like if it's anything like WandaVision, motherfuckers will be like raring to spoil it. Like I live on the West Coast, so a lot of people on the East get to watch it earlier than me before I even wake up.
No, we don't.
No?
It's midnight your time. So us on the East Coast have to stay up till 3 a.m.
Let me put it that way. For those of us who don't like stay up and wait for that.
Yeah.
When I wake up, a lot of my East Coast friends are already talking about my bro.
Yeah, because those people stay up till 3 a.m.
Yeah.
and just fucking like watch that shit. I don't do that because I'm not an idiot.
Which is
I wake up
fine.
in the morning and I like, if I can fix myself for breakfast, sit down, watch the shit, and then go about my day. And I only watch it early in the morning because y'all motherfuckers wake up at 3 a.m.
Same. And they have to talk about it on Twitter. Like I've been doing like the last few weeks or whatever, like some cardio in the morning, just a little bit, after or before breakfast. And like this morning, I skipped it just so I could watch or I put it off till a little later so I could watch WandaVision because you can't trust these motherfuckers at all.
No, they suck.
Jesus. So if Falcon turns out anything like that, just make sure y'all catch up and stay consistent as possible.
I think it's going to be even more so because it's going to be action orientated too. So,
did you see him shoot
did
that
you
fucking
see when
feather?
Oh my god! Did you see the little boy that they like had become Sam's friend? You know who that is, don't you? Like, oh god, y'all gonna start this shit again.
They introduced Patriot. Oh fuck! No, please.
He's just gonna be running rampant. But yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for listening, watching The Reason Reborn. We will be back next week with another fun-filled episode. I say fun-filled knowing that because we talk politics and social issues, it's never fun. It's all sad and it's all dark. And we both need therapy for doing this show. All right, everybody.
Are we going to do a spoiler cast on WandaVision?
Yes, we are going to do a spoiler cast on WandaVision. I got to figure out when.
So there you go. That's a nice little...
Keep a lookout for the spoiler cast on WandaVision. And yeah.
Not all miserable assholes.
No, we don't. Sometimes we like ourselves and like to talk about nice things and not just, do the verbal equivalent of poking ourselves with hot red pokers. Yeah. So.
Kinky.
Like the one that Mephisto carries.
God, you're toxic.
Anyway, thank you again for listening and watching. We will catch you guys next time on The Reason Report. Peace.